All right, everybody. Football Friday. We are here for Football Friday. Finally, it's been a whole year, but we are now at the point now where the season is quickly approaching. We have preseason games to discuss, the whole DeShaun Watson mess. There's already key injuries, a lot going on in the world of fantasy football. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss, Mike Kineski. If you don't already subscribe, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you also hit the notification button so you're notified whenever we go live or whenever new shows are posted. You'll be able to be notified if you hit that button. And also, if you can hit the like button too, I would really appreciate that. That way it helps with the indexing on YouTube. So this is the new YouTube show that I've started a couple of weeks ago. I used to do the website, thefantasysportsboss.com for just about 15 years, but that I figured the way things were going with social media and whatnot and the media, YouTube is clearly the way to go now. It's the new popular media, especially for what we do with fantasy sports. So here I am. So every single Friday from now until through the end of the season, we will have a live show. I'm going to have guests. I've already set up some people in the industry that I'm going to be speaking to. I'm trying to get Maurice Jones-Drew. That's the big one. I'll let you know if I have any luck with Maurice Jones-Drew. I've already put out a feeler to try to get him on the show. So Maurice Jones-Drew, who I have exchanged messages with in the past, so if I can get Jones-Drew on, that would be fantastic. But there's a lot to discuss. Like I said, the preseason slate is now underway. And these games that are coming up this weekend are going to be more you're going to see the starters play a little bit deeper. We're going to get a better read or a better idea as to where certain players are, where certain positions are, training camp battles and things of that nature. But we could start yesterday with Chicago and Seattle. What was interesting with that is that Geno Smith played well and Justin Fields played pretty well. I wouldn't say play well. He played pretty well. And both of these guys are kind of under the gun with their offensive lines. They both have some of the worst offensive lines in the league. But in particular, what was interesting with this game is Khalil Herbert got the start for the Bears while David Montgomery is battling an injury. And this is a situation that bears watching in Chicago. You have David Montgomery, who's, the boring veteran, the 3 yards in a cloud of dust guy. He's kind of just your classic low-end running back too. You're never excited to draft him. He's not gonna win you a league, but he's also not gonna lose you a league, David Montgomery. But Khalil Herbert, on the other hand, going back to his college days, he's got some juice to him. He's got some electricity to him. And that's why I think this is something to watch, especially with the new coaching staff in Chicago, who have already come out and said that Herbert will be a factor in the team's plans at running back. So not only do you have Montgomery there, but now you have Khalil Herbert who's knocking on the door, who could be pushing for at least a split in carries. And if anything were to happen to Montgomery going forward, Herbert would definitely be somebody for those who are in the zero running back crowd. And that's going to lead into my next point today. My next topic, Khalil Herbert is somebody you might want to put on your list because I think Herbert in the long run could be somebody that has a say in how the running back carries are going to be divvied up in Chicago. So obviously the big story, which I did a short video on yesterday, was DeShaun Watson, 11-game suspension, $5 million fine. He's not going to be back until week 13 against the Houston Texans. As soon as I saw that he's going to be coming back against the Texans, I thought this was a cruel joke. Roger Goodell, who supposedly wanted a year suspension for Watson, I just find it funny, fishy, ironic, whatever you want to call it, that his first game back is going to be against the Texans, the team that of course traded him to the Cleveland Browns. Did Goodell see that and say, you know what, I'll give him 11 games and not 12 so we could take advantage of the juice that a Texans-Browns game would generate? I wouldn't put it past Goodell. I wouldn't put it past anybody on Park Avenue that they saw that as an opportunity to juice ratings, because ratings equals money, and money is what the NFL is all about. It is a business. So, that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and also the fact that Watson is still denying his culpability or his guilt, and just completely disgusting story. But the big takeaway with that is, obviously, Watson should not be touched in any drafts. There's no reason that you should waste a precious roster spot on a guy who's not coming back for 13 weeks. All right. Most leagues have benches that probably go 4, 5, 6 deep. To allocate a precious spot to a guy who's not going to play, until November, I think that's ridiculous. We all love Watson as a player. He's as good as it gets. He can both run and throw the football, but to wait on him that long, and that doesn't even touch on the rust factor. There's going to be rust. Watson has hardly played at all in the last, year plus. So there's going to be rust, and he's going into a situation in Cleveland where the weather's going to be rough in the winter when he's coming back, when the weather's going to start to turn. So that's an adjustment as well. So honestly, I've said this before, all the Cleveland pass catchers, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, I'm off of them. The value is going to be decent, especially for Njoku. And Njoku, you could almost convince yourself that he's worth it just because Jacoby Brissett has a history of targeting his tight ends. But there's so many sleeper tight ends like Austin Hooper, like Evan Engram, they're Mo Alley Cox, that's another one. Gerald Everett. There's just so many of these guys that can be late round picks at tight end and really pay off, or even a middle round pick like a Cole Kmet for the Chicago Bears. I think that's much better investment than using it on Njoku. I think next year Njoku actually would be more interesting. And Amari Cooper is extremely hot and cold, doesn't play well outdoors, which of course is a bad matchup for Cleveland. So Cooper is somebody as well that I'm not going to chase. And Donovan Peoples-Jones I'm not even going to look at. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt, it actually helps. I think there's going to be a lot of dump-off passes. So I think Hunt, and there's going to be a lot of playing from behind. So Hunt will be in the game when the Browns go to the hurry-up, when they need to start throwing. Hunt would be in the game, and he would pick up some garbage time points, garbage time receptions. Nick Chubb, meanwhile, is going to face some more stacked boxes than he would if Watson is under center. When Watson comes back, I think Chubb will be fine. But leading up to that, things could be a little dicey for him, facing such stacked boxes week after week after week. And we all know there's limitations with Chubb. He does tend to get dinged up. He doesn't catch the football, but he's an electric runner. He's averaged over 5 yards per carry every year of his career. He's as good of a pure runner as there is in the entire NFL. So he's a running back 2 in all formats, a higher-end running back 2 in standard leagues. PPR, obviously, you got to drop him a little bit because of the fact he doesn't catch passes. But I think Chubb drops to a late-round, second-round pick in PPR leagues. But I do have interest in Kareem Hunt because, like I said, he was a top 10 running back, believe it or not, on a per-game basis before he went out injured. All right? So when Hunt, before those injuries last season, he was a top 10 back. And I think he could be that again. He's very talented. There's no question that Kareem Hunt on talent alone, he is a top 15 back. And if Nick Chubb gets hurt, Hunt could be a league winner. So that's the allure, that's the attractiveness that you get with Kareem Hunt. All right? So that's my take on that situation. Now, let's get to let's revisit this Isaiah Pacheco situation in Kansas City. All we've heard all preseason is Isaiah Pacheco this, Isaiah Pacheco that. I've thrown cold water on this from the beginning. I've watched a lot of tape on Pacheco. All right. I did a write-up on him in my annual NFL draft guide that I do every year, scouting all the prospects. I watched a lot of games with Pacheco. He wasn't very electric, all right, for the Scarlet Knights. He barely averaged over 4 yards per carry. Now, I know the blocking wasn't great, the scheme. You still have an NFL coach, a former NFL coach there, Greg Schiano, who, if he saw something in Pacheco, would certainly make a point to unleash it. Greg Schiano's been in the NFL. If Pacheco has this all-world ability that people seem to think he has, he would have unleashed it. He would have schemed it. He would have found a way to use it. Pacheco, only was a moderate impact guy in the passing game. He was a good pass protector. He graded out well there. He's got very good speed, 4.37 in the 40-yard dash at the combine. That opened some eyes, got him a 7th-round draft pick by Andy Reid and the Chiefs. And if you want to end up anywhere as a running back, it's Kansas City. Although that reputation might take a little bit of hit because of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But, you're hearing that he's going to be a league winner. He's going to overtake CEH. He's going to be the guy. I think it does push Ronald Jones off the team. There's no doubt about it. I think Jones is not going to be long for the Chiefs. He's going to get his walking paper soon. But you have Jerick McKinnon, who did a very good job down the stretch. He's a great pass receiver. Clyde Edwards-Helaire can catch the football. He's shown spurts of ability. He's battled injuries, but they're not ready to throw in the towel on this guy yet as a first-round pick. So at the most, Pacheco is going to be in a timeshare with those two guys. And if Jones somehow makes the team, Jones could get goal line carries. Now, I'm not questioning the speed. I'm not questioning the upside potential in this system. But when I hear league winner, when I hear the next Priest Holmes, I'm not going that far. I'm not getting there. So Pacheco is a fun story. Let's see where it goes. But that's as far as I'm going to take it. I'm more into George Pickens as a wide receiver, a rookie wide receiver who was off the radar. Pickens has been phenomenal. Chase Claypool, we know, is not the model, the model of consistency. He's not a great route runner. He struggled with drops. He kind of pissed off his own team and his coaching staff with his late game celebrations, catching the ball in a meaningless game when the team was well behind. So I think George Pickens is definitely somebody I'd have on the late round radar. But Pacheco, let's see it first. All right. The key injuries, we talked about David Montgomery. That could open up the Khalil Herbert to a timeshare. Rashad Penny's going to have some extra run in week 1 as Kenneth Walker's coming off a sports hernia or hernia surgery. We don't want to call it sports hernia surgery according to Pete Carroll. So it's a hernia surgery, couple of weeks recovery time. This is a big situation for Walker because it puts Walker behind the 8 ball. When you're a rookie, you need as many reps as you can, and Walker's not going to get that. So Rashad Penny, who is an electric runner when he's on the field, when he's not battling injuries, he's always battling injuries though. Penny's another guy. And today I'm talking about all these guys that are getting a lot of attention on Twitter and in dress. Penny is that guy. He's going as a round 7, round 8 guy. And that's good value for somebody who could be the bell cow back for the Seahawks. But as I talked about in a separate video, Penny doesn't catch passes. He's severely injury prone. Can't get through a season without injury. The Seattle offensive line is terrible. And Walker is in the picture. So is Travis Homer as well, catching passes. All right, DJ Dallas is still around. So I don't think Penny, if you're in a standard league, I think Penny is much more attractive. In PPR leagues, I think he's a flex. He's not a running back too. The injuries, you can't get past the injuries. You can't depend on Penny because he's always hurt. You can't depend on him to catch passes because he hasn't done it. And again, you always say, oh, well, they don't throw him the ball. They don't throw him the ball. Pete Carroll, who's one of the greatest coaches in the history of football, if he knew that Penny could be an impact receiver, he would scheme that into his offense. But he doesn't because he can't do it, or at least can't do it consistently. So I don't want to hear, oh, he's going to develop into a receiver. No, we would have seen it by now. There's no denying that Penny was a league winner, rushing for over 30 yards in 4 of his last 5 games. It was phenomenal production. And I'm fine with him as a flex player and a running back 2 in standard. But nothing more than that. Now, we also can talk about Saquon Barkley. Everybody wants Saquon. His ADP is shot up now to the late first round in some leagues. This is the same Saquon Barkley who 3 years running now has battled injuries, including a very severe torn ACL 2 years ago, a blown-up sprained ankle a year ago. He lacked burst. He lacked speed. Looked nothing like the stud that he was as a rookie and even in his second year. The Giants riding this out in his 5th year as he faces free agency. A new coaching staff has come in. But what we have heard and what we've seen in the first preseason game is that Barkley's going to get all the carries and catches he can handle. And you love to hear that. And people still have long memories of Barkley as a prime running back. The memories of his rookie season are still pervasive. All right. And that's what you get with Christian McCaffrey too. The memories of what Barkley did as a rookie are tough to get out of your brain. And that's why he's been such a big story this preseason. Why his ADP has moved up from the 3rd round to the late first round in some leagues. And I'm fine with it. I've been guilty of it too. I see the opportunity. I see there's nothing behind him. Matt Breida is not going to do anything behind him. Gary Brightwell, same thing. The Giant offensive line has improved. They drafted Evan Neal. They have the right tackle there who looks like a future stud. All right, they have Andrew Thomas at left tackle who looks like a Pro Bowler. All right, they shored up the interior of the line. John Feliciano from Buffalo as a center. You have Glowinski at guard. So Barkley has the opportunity. And listen, when you have Brian Daboll as your coach, who's known as one of the better offensive coordinators or offensive minds in football, people are going to pay attention. And so I think Barkley has a prime opportunity to salvage his career and put himself back in play as a prime running back. I think Barkley can get there. But I have concerns. The injuries. We're always talking about injuries with Barkley. Secondly, is the offensive line, as even though they've improved on paper, they're going to take time to gel. Okay? Also, Barkley tends to jog, juke, and jive behind the line instead of cutting it up the field. And this was the topic. He met with the media yesterday, and he got very testy with the media. There were questions about if he was dancing a little bit too much behind the offensive line. And the numbers bear this out. Last season, Barkley averaged over 2 seconds behind the line once he got the handoff. And that was the 8th highest rate in the league. So the 8th highest rate Barkley spent behind the offensive line before he made his move and went forward. So that does mean he is jogging a little bit. He is juking and jiving a little bit instead of just attacking the hole and going. But Barkley, he didn't come out and say this, but the blocking wasn't great. It hasn't been great for a long time. So you could almost understand Barkley being hesitant, not having any open holes to attack. And now with the Giants putting all the money they did and the draft capital they did into the offensive line, that could very well change for the better. Another concern I have, though, is Tyrod Taylor. There's already rumors. Now, Mark Cannizzaro of the New York Post, who's a columnist in one of the biggest papers in this town, he's in tune with the team. He's a great football writer. There was an article he wrote in today's paper that said there's already chatter behind the scenes about Tyrod Taylor possibly moving in and taking over the starter's role. Taylor used to play in Buffalo. He played very well with the Bills, took them to the playoffs. Okay? Daniel Jones, his fifth-year option, was not picked up. Joe Shane, the GM, Brian Daboll, the coach, are not wed to Daniel Jones. They don't have any long-term commitment to him. It's not their guy. So it may not take long for Jones to find himself benched. He has not played well. There have been multiple reports coming out daily that Jones is struggling. He's struggling with the offense. He's struggling completing routine passes. Meanwhile, Tyrod Taylor, it's been the opposite. Everybody has lauded the leadership, his ability to still run at the age of 33, to pick up yards on his own when things break down. And say what you want about Tyrod Taylor. He's got a winning record as a starter. He's 27-25. And his touchdown to interception ratio, I believe is something like 57-25. It's in that neighborhood, which is a phenomenal ratio. He's an underrated player. He's always been right on that cusp of being too good for a backup and not good enough to be a consistent starter. He's been in Cleveland. He's been in Houston. He's been everywhere. He's like Ryan Fitzpatrick. He finds opportunities to start. He ends up on teams where he has a chance to be the starter, and the same rings true for the Giants. But if Taylor becomes the starter, this will be a negative for Barkley. Historically speaking, Taylor does not throw to his running backs. He's not been one to throw short dump offs to his backs. He's more apt to take off and run, or to throw it down the field. He throws a good deep ball. He's got a strong arm. Accuracy, not always great, but Taylor's aggressive. Also, like I said, if he's going to take off and run, that's going to eliminate some opportunities for Barkley as well. All right? Then around the goal line, we've seen this with Miles Sanders in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts. When you have a mobile quarterback, they might take it and run, or Devin Singletary with Josh Allen. So that's another concern you'd have with Barkley. And then there's a situation. Actually, the best thing that might happen to Barkley is if the Giants completely suck early on, which they probably will. They could trade him to a team that could use him. Could you imagine Barkley getting traded to the Kansas City Chiefs? There was rumors about that last season. I can see it. The Chiefs, if they're not getting anything out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and if this Pacheco thing it doesn't turn out to be much of anything, they could make a trade for a Barkley. And then you have a potential bonanza on your hands down the stretch. So that's something you can look for. So Barkley, it makes me nervous as a late first-round pick. If you could get him in the middle of the second round, I'm completely on board. Anything earlier than that, early second, late first, I'm nervous. And we've also seen historically players on bad teams, running backs on bad teams, it's usually not a good setup, not a good scenario. And that's my concern about Barkley. And that's also my concern about Christian McCaffrey. All right? And that leads me into McCaffrey. Just like Barkley, the ADP is really taken off with McCaffrey. Back in June, McCaffrey was like the 7th or 8th, 9th ADP. That was where he was going. Now he's number 2. He's firmly number 2 behind Jonathan Taylor. And I get it. I get the allure. Listen, I have the top pick in one of my 2 leagues, and I was, for a fleeting moment, thought, yeah, you know what? It'd be great to have Christian McCaffrey. What if he finally stays healthy? What if he gets 15 games in? He's going to go 1,000. He's going to blow it out of the water. He's going to win me my league. But then the flip side is, he's going to get hurt again. He's played 10 games the last 2 seasons. And that's the rub with McCaffrey. He's now 27. He's got one of the worst, maybe the worst offensive lines in football in front of him. He's got a quarterback in Baker Mayfield who didn't always throw to his running backs. All right. There is skill here. DJ Moore. I did a video on him earlier. I love DJ Moore. He's a top receiver. All right. And then, McCaffrey, nothing else needs to be said. He's Marshall Faulk if he's healthy. 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving absolutely is in play if he's healthy. But 10 games played the last 2 seasons. There are so many people that have sworn off of McCaffrey completely, and I totally get it. But then there's the other faction who haven't owned McCaffrey. I haven't owned him the last 2 years, so I don't have any scarred memories. I'm not damaged goods when it comes to owning McCaffrey and having gone through that. Anybody who drafted him in the first round the last 2 years probably didn't win their league, didn't even make the playoffs probably. Completely sunken cost. You're dead before you even get, anywhere near the playoffs. And that's the fear that I have with McCaffrey going number 2. Could it all work out? It could. But there's a lot of strikes against him. He's 27. That's the danger zone when it starts at running back. He's got a horrible offensive line. He's got a questionable quarterback and the injuries. I go back. I very rarely see this talked about a lot. But 2 summers ago, McCaffrey came in, and there were the reports. You get this every summer. A guy came in the best shape of his life. You heard this about McCaffrey. He came in bulked up, noticeably bulked up in his chest, in his legs, his thighs. He looked like Mr. Olympus. And for me, I thought this was a little bit scary because what if that impacts his speed? What if that impacts his ability to carry that extra muscle? Does it lead to injuries, soft tissue injuries? When guys bulk up like that, you run the risk of soft tissue injuries, hamstring pulls, knee issues, all right? In baseball, you see it with oblique injuries, calf problems. McCaffrey had almost all of these the last 2 years. Ever since he showed up that summer, bulked up, he has not stayed healthy. Is it a coincidence? I think not. And he's still big. So another year older, still carrying that bulk. Bad offensive line. Running backs get hurt exponentially at a higher rate than receivers. I'm scared of McCaffrey. I won't draft him number 1. I won't draft him number 2. In my other league, I have the 4th pick. Now I draft September 1st and September 3rd. The first pick, I'm not taking McCaffrey. I haven't decided who I'm going yet. Number 1, Jonathan Taylor probably. But my other league where I'm number 4, if McCaffrey makes it to me at number 4, I might think of doing that. But I'm pretty hell-bent on Justin Jefferson at number 4. Okay? I've always been more inclined to take the top receiver in the first round and then build running back in round 2 and round 3. You have to nail your first-round pick. And we've seen, especially last season, if you look at the top 24 guys that were drafted a year ago, or especially the first round, it was utter chaos medically for almost all the backs who went in the first round. McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones missed a couple of games. Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb missed some time. Alvin Kamara, I believe, missed 3 or 4 games. DeAndre Swift dealt with injuries. It was unbelievable. Najee Harris and Jonathan Taylor, they bucked the trend. Almost every other top running back got hurt last year. And so those who say, let's go 0 running back. Initially, when I heard about the 0 running back, I thought, oh, you know what? This is stupid. You can't win like that. There's no way. You got to get a running back. You got to, I used to be the running back guy, first, second round running backs. But the more I think about it, it's not a bad idea. Now, I'm not going to go to the extreme on the 0 running back, and I said I would talk about that today. But I'm thinking I'm going receiver with that other league where I have the 4th pick, and I take Justin Jefferson. All right? I'm fine with people who go Cooper Kupp. I'm fine with people that go Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, late first round, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams. I'm willing to go second round Leonard Fournette, to go second round, hopefully DeAndre Swift, or I don't think so. I think DeAndre Swift is going to have a spectacular season. There's a guy who I think is going to be the running back 1 if he can stay healthy. Aaron Jones in round 2. Yeah, I know A.J. Dillon is still there. I know Devontae Adams is gone, but I think Aaron Jones is going to really catch a lot of passes. I think they're going to incorporate both guys. So second round, I'm good with Aaron Jones. Joe Mixon, if he makes it in the second round. Nobody likes to draft Joe Mixon. He's completely boring. I get it, but he's boring but effective. Alvin Kamara, it doesn't look like he's going to get suspended. So you know what? Late second round, if he's there, I might take him. But I am fully on board anybody who chooses to go receiver in the first round. I think it's actually the smart play. Unless you have the top pick, you almost got to take Jonathan Taylor. I think I'm fine with somebody taking Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, like I said. And as far as 0 running back, if you look at 0 running back, it's not a bad idea this year. It really isn't. If you start out Justin Jefferson and then come back with Mike Evans, and then maybe you go to Michael Pittman in round 3 or Kyle Pitts, excuse me, that's a tremendous, and you could do that. That's a tremendous start. You could be in a position where you could conceivably get Justin Jefferson with like the 4th pick, come back with Mike Evans at, 21? All right. And then at 28, you can get Kyle Pitts. I mean, that's a phenomenal start. In round 4, go Juju Smith-Schuster. Round 5, Michael Thomas. All right. So how about this? You have Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Juju is your 3 receivers. You got Michael Thomas at the flex, or Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then Kyle Pitts at tight end. That's your first 5 picks. 6th round, maybe Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson if he happens to drop. And you have a stud team. You have, let's say it's Hurts. Jalen Hurts at quarterback. You have Jefferson, Evans, Juju Smith-Schuster are your 3 wideouts, and Michael Thomas or Amon-Ra St. Brown is your flex. That could conceivably happen. And Kyle Pitts at tight end. How about that team? Wouldn't you love to start with that team? And then you could get Chase Edmonds, 7th round. All right, so 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you can get Chase Edmonds in the 7th round. Rashad Penny in the 8th round. Kareem Hunt in the 8th round. Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Pierce. Any of those guys. If you want Pacheco, you can go him too. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I still think he's going to get enough work. He'll be undervalued. Breece Hall, whose ADP is starting to slip a little bit because I said it should because Michael Carter is still there. I think Breece Hall could be a guy. So if you go 0 running back, you could, like I said, have Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Juju Smith-Schuster, Michael Thomas as your 3 wideouts in a flex. Kyle Pitts as your tight end. Jalen Hurts or a Tom Brady as your quarterback. And then you could attack running back, Rashad Penny, Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt. All right? Pierce, who I think Damian Pierce is going to be, he could be the best rookie running back this season. He's got a precious opportunity in Houston. Pacheco, Ramondre Stevenson. Belichick loves this guy. There's already Albert Breer of NFL Network said that behind the scenes, the Pats are trying to entertain offers already for Damian Harris. And the Patriots always sell high on running backs or anybody, not just running backs, anybody. That's the Patriots way. Once a guy excels and reaches their maximum value, the Pats, sell high, they get the draft picks, and that's how they restock the shelves. And then they move on to the next guy up. And Ramondre Stevenson is the better pass receiver by far than Damian Harris. I mean, could you imagine Stevenson in the times we saw him play last season? He was beyond explosive. So you could target all of these guys. All right. Kareem Hunt, who was the top 10 running back before he got hurt last season. Rashad Penny, who's going to get a lot of work. Damian Pierce, Edwards-Helaire, Breece Hall. I love Chase Edmonds. I think Chase Edmonds is severely undervalued. In a PPR league, he's going to catch 60 passes. I think Chase Edmonds is criminally undervalued. You can get him in the 7th round. All right? And it sets up perfectly because if you do zero running back, because again, Juju Smith-Schuster you can get in the 4th round. This is a guy who could be a wide receiver 1 on an explosive Chiefs team who need pass catchers. Michael Thomas, who everybody's raving about around the team, reporters and personnel alike, you can get in the 5th round. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I love. He's going to be phenomenal. They are scheming in Detroit. They're scheming their offense around St. Brown to get him the ball as much as you can. I think he's an absolute stud. You can get him in the 6th, 7th round range. Okay? Jerry Judy, Cortland Sutton, they might be, in that 5th round tier that you can get him there as well. There are so many receiver values. Elijah Moore, I didn't even mention Elijah Moore. Okay? So Elijah Moore is another one. All right? So somebody just pointed out, what if Chase Edmonds flops? I get it. But that's why if you do the zero running back, you draft Edmonds, then you immediately follow up with a Rashad Penny. Then you could get Damian Pierce. All right? Ramondre Stevenson. You could go those 4 in a row. And you can protect yourself and you get depth. All right? Yes, Chase Edmonds, if he flops, I get it. First of all, I don't think he's going to flop. Tua Tagovailoa loves to throw short passes. That's perfect for Chase Edmonds. It jives perfectly with Edmonds. So I'm going after him. All right? I haven't decided if I'm going to go full zero running back. But if I go the hero running back in the 2nd round, I might go, Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette. I love Leonard Fournette as well. I think he's just a stud. And Tom Brady loves him too, and that's all you need to know. If Tom Brady loves you, you're going to be good. All right? But the zero running back really looks good to me. I mean, am I wrong? Even if you go Jamar Chase, let's say you're towards the back. You can get Jamar Chase. You could probably get CeeDee Lamb. How about that start? Say you have the 9th or 10th pick, and you take Chase. There's a chance that CeeDee Lamb will be there on the way back. Or Travis Kelce if you get the tight end there. Let's say it's Chase and CeeDee Lamb. Then in the 3rd round, coming back, you go Pitts again. 4th round, you grab Juju. I think Juju's going in the 5th, but grab him in the 4th so you get him. Michael Thomas is going in the 6th. Grab him in the 5th. Or if you don't get Michael Thomas, get St. Brown. So, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Juju, Michael Thomas. Your 3 receivers in a flex. Kyle Pitts at tight end. Holy crap. That's just awesome. Jalen Hurts at quarterback you could probably get in that range. Dak Prescott. Let's say Hurts is gone. Take Dak Prescott. So then you'd have Dak Prescott with Kyle Pitts. Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Thomas, Juju Smith-Schuster. That is an unfreaking believable lineup. And then you grab Chase Edmonds. Then you grab Damian Pierce, Rashad Penny, Kareem Hunt, Ramondre Stevenson. Take all 5 if you could. Go one right after the other. You just need 2. Your flex is already filled. You just need 2 backs. A 3rd when the bye weeks come. And here's the last point on this. Think about how many league-winning running backs have appeared in the middle of the season, going back to C.J. Anderson for the Denver Broncos. All right? Running backs get hurt all the time, and you get backups who can come in and fill in and really do a great job. Rashad Penny last season. Ramondre Stevenson when he played. Think about how many receivers that you picked up off waivers in the middle of the year and that were studs that helped you win. Not many. Certainly not as many as running backs. So if you wait, if you draft all those receivers early and you stack up on zero running backs, those guys I mentioned, and you play the waiver wire, you could find how about this? David Montgomery gets hurt and you have Khalil Herbert. I love Khalil Herbert. He's been fantastic. Listen, he was good when Montgomery was hurt last season. He started yesterday's preseason game. The new coaching staff loves him. He's pushing for a 50% share of the touches. I think he's another one. So that's what you have to do. That's how you have to look at the zero running back. You want to have your top picks be as safe as possible, and receivers are the way to go. Tight ends are the way to go. They're going to be hit by smaller defensive backs, the safeties, the cornerbacks, whereas the running backs are going to get crushed and flattened by 350-pound monstrous defensive tackles. They're going to get hit by those fleet defensive ends who are packed with muscle. How about Micah Parsons hitting you? That's why you see so many running backs get injured, because they're getting hit so hard. So zero running back, I can see it. All right. Now, a lot of preseason games on tonight. That's always an interesting, and it's also a scary time because of injuries and things of that nature. So the preseason games are always something you want to look at. Just checking some news while I was on here so I don't miss anything, because you want to get you want your players to really get through these games without injury. That's the worst. Think of Jordy Nelson a few years ago, Julian Edelman tearing his ACL, and that happens, and that's why you don't have your drafts until the very end. All right, but it's always also exciting to see how things are being run, who's getting playing time and whatnot. All right. But I talked about Christian McCaffrey. I talked about Saquon Barkley. The running backs as a whole are scary this year in terms of the injuries. I like the zero running back strategy, or even the hero running back. Grab one back like a Leonard Fournette, Aaron Jones in round 2, and then just build around tight ends and receivers. All right. And I've already also talked about how tight end, there's a lot of guys that you can get late rounds. Cole Kmet is screaming for you to draft him at value. Justin Fields has nobody to throw to, and he's going to be rushed constantly. He's going to be throwing short passes, and I think Kmet's going to be a guy that's going to benefit the most from this. All right? So that's another guy you want to look at. So, yeah. So anyway, so this is the deal, guys. This is going to be the Football Friday every week. I'm aiming for 4 o'clock. I think 4 o'clock is going to be the time when the season starts. So every Friday at 4 o'clock, I'll have the notification out there so you know when we're going to go live. I'm going to have some guests lined up. I'm trying to get Maurice Jones-Drew, like I said. Might be doing some interviews off of that time, and I'll just splice it in. I try to have somebody every week to discuss things. But I do think that each week, 4 o'clock sounds right. Now I'm going to update all the injuries. All right. I'm going to update every week the injuries, all the news items of the week. All right. Hopefully we won't be talking about COVID or anything like that. All right. Del J, I saw what you wrote about Kelsey and Andrews PPR. Yes, 100%. I half agree with you. I love Kelsey, especially if you can get him in the second round. Mark Andrews, though, I've had reservations. If you haven't seen the video I did on Mark Andrews, I think he's being overdrafted. I think his ADP right now is 22. The Ravens are going to really dial back. They're going to probably lose about 150 pass attempts this season. The 2 years prior to last season, they were in the low 400, actually probably more like 425, 430 range for attempts. And that's how the offense worked best. Last season with Gus Edwards getting hurt, with J.K. Dobbins getting hurt. Oh, I didn't even mention J.K. Dobbins as a zero running back target. J.K. Dobbins was phenomenal as a rookie, averaging over 5 yards per carry. Make sure you have him down as well. And that's somebody who I actually think could develop as a receiver. Dobbins is explosive. But I think now that Dobbins is back and Edwards will be back shortly, they're going to run the ball, and they're going to run it a lot. And Harbaugh has said the ideal setup for the Ravens is running the ball, and having some passes thrown in. And that's why they traded Marquise Brown, and they didn't even address receiver in the draft. I believe it was 611 pass attempts they threw last year. So that's way out of whack. That's an outlier number. So Andrews is not going to touch those numbers last season. I think that's an outlier campaign. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be over 100, over 80 catches, could approach 1,000 yards, and he's always been good around the red zone. So 10 to 12 touchdowns, absolutely. And that's good value. But, I like Kelsey better in the second round. If you can get Andrews in the third round, even better. But I think you're buying Andrews at top value. I don't think he's going to approach those numbers this season. You don't want to buy guys at top value. You want to get them when they're on the upswing. You don't want to pay sticker price for somebody whose numbers may drop, and I think they will for Andrews. Kelsey, on the other hand, the advanced metrics started to slide for the first time last season, but, he's still going to get 1 million targets with Tyreek Hill in Miami. They brought in Juju. They brought in MVS. Mecole Hardman's still there, although, he got injured this past couple of days. It doesn't look like it's a big issue, but he's very inconsistent. So I think Kelsey's still going to get a ton of work. That's the guy I would pick. I think Kyle Pitts is a better value over Andrews. I think Pitts in third round is good. I tell you what, the tight end I really love is Dalton Schultz. Yes, technically you're buying high on him as well, but you're buying high on him in the fifth round and maybe in the sixth, not the second like Andrews. And I think with Michael Gallup not playing early on, I think with James Washington hurt, you have Jalen Tolbert, the rookie. I think Schultz is really going to be heavily utilized, especially in the red zone. Prescott loves him. He loves throwing to him. So that's the guy I think has the best value. I think Zach Ertz is a tremendous value with DeAndre Hopkins suspended for 6 weeks. Ertz was a frequent target of Kyler Murray in the red zone as well when he came over via trade. So those are the two tight ends I would target, Ertz and Schultz. So if you do the zero running back, Pitts in the third round, I'm fine with. But, if you go, Jefferson, Evans, and then, Michael Pittman in third round, and then get Juju in the fourth round and Schultz in the fifth round, man, you're winning that league. Could you imagine that? And that's conceivable too. Jefferson in the first, if you have the fourth or fifth pick, let's say, Evans in the second round. I think he'll be there in the middle of the second. And then Michael Pittman, the hype's starting to get in a little high. I don't know if he'll make it to the middle of the third round, but it's possible. And then you draft Juju in the fourth and Schultz in the fifth. Wow. And Hurts in the sixth, or Michael Thomas or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Perfect. Sounds great. So I'm not in on Andrews. I think he's going to disappoint more than you think. All right, no practice again for Miles Sanders today. That just came out. Fourth straight day of missed practice, hamstring injury. There's same old story of Miles Sanders. The guy's got ability, comes from Penn State where he was known as a good receiver and a good runner. Can't stay healthy. He didn't score any touchdowns last season. You have Kenneth Gainwell who's there. I think Kenneth Gainwell is somebody who has a lot of potential in PPR leagues. He can catch the football. Boston Scott's still there. Jalen Hurts is going to run the ball in a lot. So, Sanders is kind of blowing his opportunity right now with these injuries. So that just came out just now. So you don't like to see that. So, all right. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for today, for this Football Friday. Good show. Thanks, guys, for the comments and voting on the poll. Make sure you, again, hit the like button for me so we can index well on Yahoo and YouTube because they look for stuff like that. Make sure you share this out to anybody that that loves fantasy football. I'd love to grow a little bit more, get everybody subscribed. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification button. The notification button is important because every time I post videos, you'll get notified when they come out. So I'm going to have another bus video coming out later today. And here's the key too with this channel. Anytime there's major news, I'm going to do a video right away. I'm hopefully within like a minute or two and get a video up there right away. So instant analysis all season long. And on Sunday, as I'm watching all the games, because I got the Sunday ticket, I got all the games going. If an injury happens, I'm doing a video right away. Boom. 30 seconds to a minute later, I'll have an a video. If, Christian McCaffrey pulls up lame within a minute, boom, the video will be up and we'll talk about it. And of course, I'm always going to take your questions. Anytime I post a video, post your questions and I'll answer it. Or follow me on Twitter and ask me there at RotoBoss. All right? Twitter at RotoBoss. Make sure you follow me. All right? So that's another good way to keep in touch with me as well. So again, make sure you index us, subscribe, and next Friday, another Football Friday. And this was a good show, guys. Thanks for contributing, and we will talk soon. Everybody have a great day.